So, John, have you done anything fun while you've been down there?
I mean, I've been on some live shows.
Yeah.
Watched the finals yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. How was that?
Watched the Heat lose. Oh, you were there. Remember how you were there?
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that.
You Tom Seguraing me right now?
No, I would never do that. Oh, shoot. I got to send her a text real quick, bro.
Yep. If you're filing in, we are live. People start to file in here as we get our text sent out to the text group. But if you're here, sound off. Let us know. Let us know in the comments. Say what's up. What are we giving away today? We're giving away DAPS gift cards, right? Yep.
We are
giving away DAPS gift cards for every 25 likes on the video.
Sweet.
Which is exciting because we have the DAPS.
The here. DAPS of DAP Sports.
The DAPS. It's like the.
Oh, sorry.
You're supposed to keep it clean for 15, Casey.
It was pretty quiet. I don't think YouTube got that.
He didn't even keep it clean for one.
Wait, not even one.
Yeah.
That's how I roll, dog. I mean, we're bad boys.
Yeah. It's like how they like Ohio State is called the Ohio State.
Yep.
That's you.
Yeah.
Like you're
the DAPS.
Yeah. You got to distinguish because there's DAPS sports and then there's.
And it is Miami the U.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The U.
The Ohio State
University. The Ohio State University. People tell you if they go there too.
Yeah.
You ever met someone who goes to Ohio State and they're like, I go to the Ohio State University?
No, I've never, but I've heard I knew a ton of people who went to Miami.
Yeah.
So like the U.
I go to the U. Yeah. You know what else is a stupid college thing? Stanford's mascot. Do you know what it is? Or their like thing?
So dumb.
It's not a mascot. It's their whatever animal or it's not actually the mascot, but they're the Stanford Cardinal, not the
Singular.
Cardinal.
The Cardinal.
Yeah, like it's a color.
What? Oh,
yeah, they're a color.
They're a color.
Yeah,
and so
it's
their
very
mascot
meta.
isn't it like a horse or something?
I don't know. I don't know what the actual mascot is, but they're the Stanford Cardinal. It's dumb.
Everybody's got to be different.
It's really dumb.
Yeah. Everybody's an individual. When I played high school football, one time I came out with like one long sock and one short sock. And Coach Calabria didn't like that.
Did you have a good game?
No, this is practice.
Oh,
Did you
have a good practice?
This is practice.
We're talking about practice?
Immediately, I think I got onto the field and it was, oh, you think you're an individual, McGuckin? And then it's like you're running around the entire school, for the next hour. And you're like, maybe just wear the same
length socks from now on. So it was not a good practice.
No, I mean, luckily I was always able to like cross country, long distance run very easily. Wasn't like a sprinter.
Yeah.
But so I was probably like, whatever. Now I don't have to deal with him for the first hour of practice.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be like warm ups and drills and stuff anyway.
Yeah.
You were just a rebel without a cause, man. You just had to stir up some trouble.
Yeah. That's pretty much how it went. So, and that's how you get to become the DAPS.
DAPS. When did the DAPS? Socks. So actually, I am curious about that. I don't know, Casey, if you want to get into your show stack or if you want to tell the people here what's going on or whatever. But
well, I mean, today we're going to be talking offseason from the NFL, break down some of the bigger moves of the offseason. But you guys can keep vibing out for a minute. We're still got people flooding in.
Yeah. So I am curious though, where the DAPS nickname, where did that come from? Did you just make it up? Did you nickname yourself? I don't think you're allowed to do that.
No, I don't think you are, and I'm glad I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I actually went to University of Buffalo in New York, and kind of pledged this fraternity, and then it's like, oh well, this fraternity isn't actually affiliated with the school, and then you're just like joining a gang, and
you basically joined a gang.
Yeah, so I joined a gang.
You're like, I thought it was a school gang, though, at least.
And a lot of fraternities, they'll give you a pledge name, and it's kind of like a joke, but in this particular fraternity, whatever they named you became your name for like the next 4 years of your life, at school. And I got the name DAPS.
That's not a bad one though.
No, and most of
the seems like it could be like way worse.
Oh, it could. They
shit face. Oh wait, I suppose we're supposed to keep it clean for 15. Sorry.
So the kids
that moment has passed.
Yeah, the kids who they didn't want to be in the fraternity or didn't think would last, they would give them kind of covert names.
Oh yeah.
So one of their names was Alosa, which was asshole spelled backwards.
That's creative,
right? Because they're like, oh, he's not going to last.
Kimberly says her sorority nickname is Oscar. that's the kind of nickname that like. If they
so that's what I'm talking about. Some names from fraternities or sororities are intentionally supposed to be like jokes, and like you're not supposed to call each other that. But this was like, this is your brand for the next 4 years.
Did you have a frat given name, Casey?
I didn't, but I definitely can speak to the like hazing nicknames for sure. There were some guys with some pretty terrible nicknames, and dudes who even stuck around for like all 4 years. They would be around, and you'd be like, some freshman would call him by his nickname.
Oh my gosh, that's so bad.
But that like flies, you know. I mean, I'll wait till we're 10 minutes in maybe to share, but some pretty horrific stuff. But you know, it's all boys being boys, you know.
Yeah. So that's where the name Daps came from. Then you just name the business that.
Yeah, pretty much. First, I had a meme account that was Daps.
Oh, okay.
Right, and that's
of course
right.
That
I grew up, and then I was trying to figure out the name for this sports card, social media, and I just liked the way like Daps Sports flowed. It was just easy to say.
It's nice,
yeah. Daps Sports.
It's really nice.
Say it quick, and that's how it kind of came to be.
Yeah. All right. So go ahead, Casey. I'll let you drive.
Today we are going to be talking about the 50 biggest moves from the NFL offseason. I've got a list. We're going to go division by division, break it down. We'll talk about each division kind of briefly, kind of summation of everything we talked about at the end. But before we get into that, I'm going to play this nice little nifty video for us all. Which one is this, John? I'm never doing this part.
Yep. You want me to get you? I got you. You
ready? Got me.
All right. Right after this.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Okay, quick question. I saw you head nodding a little bit. Did you like that track, the triple cross one?
Yeah. There was some cool graphics going on.
Yeah, that track was a Casey original.
Casey did a good job.
It was a Casey composition. Yeah.
Thanks, Daps. Appreciate it, man.
You need to have your signature sounds.
We should drop it on our website. People can download it.
Yeah. Get us to 1 million downloads on iTunes, you guys.
Yeah, seriously. What up, everybody? I see everyone coming in. Rose, hey, what's up? Kimberly, what's up? Miguel, what's up? Andrew, Romy, what's up? Sorry, Casey, I'm too used to driving. Like, you're gonna have to take the steering wheel from me.
We're doing the metaphorical handoff from the NBA season to the NFL season here with this show, kind of passing the torch. John did a great job leading it for us on the NBA programming. Well done, John. Little round of applause for you. But today, like I said, we're going to talk about the 50 biggest moves from the NFL offseason, NFC, just one conference. No, we're doing the whole league today. But before we dive into that, I got to let you all know about Manscaped. Y'all been living that old school life. You've been tearing up your shaft and your nuts, trying to stay trim for your romantic interest and just for yourself, really. It's about empowerment these days, self-empowerment. So you need to get yourself empowered, bring your nuts into the 21st century. Head on over to manscaped.com. Get their new Performance Package 4.0 that'll have the Lawnmower 4.0, the Weed Whacker for your nose, your ears, the Crop Reviver, and the Crop Preserver for your balls. Keep them fresh, keep them toned, whatever that means. But also remember to use the code TRIPLE to save 20% on your order. And you'll be happy. Your balls will thank you. So
yeah.
How'd I do, John?
It'll it's summer in North America. It'll make your summer much better.
It's true.
Know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to just like bush going on in the summer. It's not good down there. It's not good.
Yeah, just turned into a stanky, sweaty Amazonian bush.
Yeah,
up in North America.
Nobody wants that.
Don't bring the Amazon to North America, people.
No, keep it in the South. All right. Deb, what's up? Adam, what's up? Loretta, good to have you guys here. Some of these people are NBA folks, but some are, football only. They've been waiting patiently for a TCP football since the Super Bowl, Casey.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Actually, we've had one more since then on the draft.
Yeah,
we did a draft live stream.
The combine, and the draft. Yeah, that's true.
We did a little something.
We've done things and stuff.
Just little taste, but we're getting back into the full meal portion of the season. So we do have a new person here. People have just been joining in. So we have Daps with us for the first time. You guys probably already know me and John if you've been on the Triple Cross channel at least. So Daps, why don't you let the people know what you're about, man? Give us just a little bit more of your backstory of the people who just jumped on.
Yeah. Thank you, Casey. So my name is Matt. They call me Daps. I own a company called Dap Sports out of Los Angeles, California. And what we do is we run live streams pretty much 24/7, selling sports cards and memorabilia. So signed basketball, football jerseys, helmets. A lot of cool rookie cards are being chased right now, from your Kenny Pickett and your Brock Purdy, the most recent draft class, to, you can still chase Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, 2018. Patty Mahomes, 2017 draft class. 2020 is highly coveted as well. I mean, you have 4 major quarterbacks in that draft class. You have Herbert, you have Tua, you have Jalen Hurts, and you have Burrow. So I would stick to quarterbacks if you're new when it comes to sports cards, but rookie cards are the most valuable. And then what they do is they number the card. So, for example, they might print a particular Justin Herbert rookie card, and there's only 10 prints in the whole world. So they call that a numbered card. Number 1 of 10, 2 of 10, 3 of 10, all the way to 10.
Are they more valuable if they're like lower? Like
the lower the number, the more valuable they are. So it's all about scarcity, right? So the lowest number can be 1 of 1.
Yeah.
So also known as superfractors.
Well, like, so if it's numbered to 10 though, is 1 more valuable? 1 of 10 more valuable than 5 of 10?
So they have something called bookend, right? So bookend is 1 of 10 or 10 of 10, right? So those tend to be a little bit more valuable, and then they have something called a jersey match. So like Justin Herbert, for example, is number 10. So the 10 out of 10 is more valuable because it's his jersey matching.
Oh, interesting.
Right. Okay. So and also that can only happen in certain,
things I'm learning. See, I've been here like 4 or 5 times, like collabing with you guys.
I mean, there's a lot of nuance.
There's
to
little
this.
things you learn.
For sure.
Yeah. Ty Henry wants to just say Tua. I wasn't gonna yell because I'm a mic and that would hurt everybody's ears, but he said Tua.
Fins up. Let's go.
Yeah. And apparently there's some conversation going on about a bonsai tree. Don't know why.
I think they were on that last night too. I don't know what it was. I missed it last night on our stream, but yeah, that's the Andrew Adam rivalry just raging on in the chat, perpetually raging on. If you don't know those guys, you'll get to know them quick. They chat a lot. So
Ty does have an actual football question. Where's Dalvin Cook going? He said, "Hey, from Tennessee." He yelled to probably, I'm guessing he's a Dolphins fan, and he's hoping Dalvin Cook will go to the Dolphins. Are we getting into that? Or are we just doing the actual offseason moves? No speculation.
No, we'll do that. We can do that a little bit if we kind of stumble upon it organically, and if the chat asked about it. All right, one more question to Daps before we get into like the structure of what we have for today. Okay. Daps, what's your favorite team? What team are you partial to? I mean, I kind of wear my logo loud and proud, so I make it really obvious to everybody in the handle and everything. What team do you rock mostly, or are you just kind of a fan of the league?
No, my grandfather was a scout for the New York Jets growing up, so I've been a Jets fan. It wasn't really a choice. It's an extremely
you're New York teams through and through, right? You're Jets,
Knicks,
Yankees,
Jets, Mets, Islanders were the 4 teams I grew up watching.
You Knicks guy?
Yeah, for sure.
That's tough.
Well, actually,
at 35 years old, you had a great childhood, and then there was Carmelo, and there was this year. They got to the second round.
So you went to the Knicks, but really, like, if you really listen to all 4 of those teams, it's the same story across the board.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So I've never seen a championship. I've never seen a championship.
Not the Yankees, though.
The Yankees are my team.
Oh, you're a Mets fan.
Ooh,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, that's a tough life.
Yeah.
You have a tough
I have
life.
not seen a championship from any of my 4 major sports.
Yeah, I'm a Jazz, Vikings, Mariners.
So
I feel
no
your pain.
Championship for you.
I feel your pain. No championship for me either.
Yikes.
This is the only one with a ring.
Yeah.
I mean, I
and
guess,
you got how many? You're like Clay over there. Just
well, the Niners and the Cowboys in the 90s is like
don't forget the Broncos.
Don't forget the Broncos. Yeah.
Packers.
Sure. Well, the Jets lost to the Broncos in the AFC Championship when Parcells coached them against the Broncos. So we were like, 1 game away from it.
A little history lesson. Yeah.
Yeah. So it went. Parcells coached the Drew Bledsoe championship team that lost to Favre. And then he leaves the Patriots and he comes to the Jets. And then he takes the Jets to the AFC Championship, I think 2 years, maybe 1 year. But they were decent for a couple of years. And I'm talking about like trash teams. We had like Vinny Testaverde as our quarterback on the back.
When was the last time you guys had a quarterback on the Jets?
Never.
Just this year.
We had Brett Favre at the
That's
end
true.
of his hit, like that was actually
you guys get the Packers throwaways.
Yeah. And like that was actually fun. But besides that, it's been a nightmare. I mean, the Rex Ryan years were my favorite, I would say. Like
you like stuff too?
Yeah, like
you guys had
stuff.
Yeah.
Foot
you
stuff
had Joe
definitely...
You had Joe Namath. Yeah, that's a quarterback you've had.
Yeah, but like I
had Mark Sanchez.
I don't get to really claim
butt
Joe
fumbler.
Namath. Like I'm born 20 years after Joe Namath wins, a championship, maybe more.
Yeah.
So it's cool to like think about that, but that I never got to experience that. I went into like I think Neil O'Donnell was the quarterback like in '95, right? And then Testaverde, and then Chad Pennington, and then it's just
it's gross.
By the way, this is like historic Jets mishap. Is the Jets passed on Dan Marino to draft Ken O'Brien, and that just sets the next 30 years up for like.
See, so that's the kind of front office moves that you expect from like the Knicks as well. Is that just all New York teams like front offices?
No. I mean, the Yankees are like
the
Yankees
staple
are good. Of like
all the ones you like.
Correct.
Yeah, they just.
But also, when you grow up in New York, where I'm from, you don't even like you go to middle school or high school, and you're not fighting other states.
Yeah,
it's like half the kids are wearing Mets hats, half the kids are wearing Yankees hats, and you don't care about any other team in the league.
Right.
It's just talking smack between
between the two of you.
Yeah, that's all it is. So we're kind of spoiled in that way where we have multiple teams in one state.
All right. Before we get into it, Casey, we have a poll in the chat before I reveal the results of it. I want to ask you guys, got to pick a division. You got a 50-50 shot. Who's going to win the Super Bowl this year? AFC, NFC, Casey?
Which conference is going to win?
Yep.
Oh man, I'm ride or die. I'll go Homer with it. I mean, because it's so early.
You can't not.
Yeah, I'm NFC until you make me not be. Until I see something like in the season that says otherwise. So yeah, I know Mahomes, Burrow, Allen. I get it, but NFC is perpetually underrated. They do win Super Bowls even with those guys over in the AFC. So this is as good a year as any. And I mean, Brock Purdy, baby, stay healthy this year.
Their way to it. Yeah, AFC, NFC. What do you think?
To win the championship?
Yeah, win the Super Bowl.
AFC for sure.
What do you guys? What's your prediction of what the chat said, or what the poll
AFC.
is?
AFC by a mile.
You are incorrect. 58% NFC.
Whoa.
42% AFC. That poll is ended now.
Okay.
58. Right. It was actually 58-41. So figure that out.
I mean,
1% of people are
Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Aaron Rodgers in the AFC.
Yeah.
And Herbert.
Yeah.
But you got Brock Purdy in the NFC.
Burrow.
Got Brock Purdy and CMC.
Like
that's Casey's justification.
As I think about it more, I'm like, there's no way the NFC is winning. And I like Jalen Hurts too.
Ooh. It's all about the run game in the NFC.
Yeah.
Sure.
Really is.
Sure. I mean,
really is. It's good defense too. Good defense.
Yeah.
You can't just outrun every team you play forever.
Speed and D is what Casey's all about.
That's what I like to see out there.
Speed in every sport.
Handling
that's all
defense.
He cares about. Speed and D.
That's it. Okay, guys, what do you say we get into the actual meat and potatoes here?
Yes, we can, but first, God wants to know how your day's been going.
Oh man.
Wow. How did you get that YouTube name? You must have been on YouTube forever to get that.
Also the cat picture
and the cat
paired
picture.
with God.
Cat God, kitty God wants to know how your day's. My day's going pretty good. We took a minute to set this up, but it's
pretty solid. Yeah.
Thanks for asking, God.
This show is a long time coming, and I'm gonna preface the whole thing we do here by saying I came up with this list of 50 offseason moves at like 3 a.m. So there's bound to be some big ones that I just outright missed on here, and I definitely put in some littler ones just to fill it out too. So we don't have to talk about every single move at all. I'm gonna go to a division and then just read kind of the moves I accumulated for this. Then we can kind of talk about all of them, who we like in the division based off their offseason, who we think will win the division, so on and so forth through all the divisions of football. What do you guys say, huh?
Let's do it.
Ready.
All right, let's start off in the AFC West. AFC West, I have key acquisitions to teams. Raiders signed QB Jimmy Garoppolo, who is, by the way, out until at least training camp, which is late July, early August. Raiders also drafted edge Tyree Wilson at number 7 overall. He's from Texas Tech. The Broncos signed edge Frank Clark. as well as offensive tackle Mike McGlinchey. The Chargers signed linebacker Eric Kendricks. The Chargers draft Quentin Johnson, number 21 overall. He's a receiver from TCU. And the Chiefs draft edge, Felix and Anudike Uzoma from Kansas State.
You white guide your name right through that. Your way right through that name. Good job.
And he was the number 31 selection overall in the draft this year. So, guys, what of those moves stand out to you? Who do you like from this division? Who do you think wins the division? Daps, to you first.
I've always thought Jimmy G is trash.
Okay.
I didn't like him for you guys. What really stood out was when you guys played, I think it was the Cowboys, not this past playoffs, but before. Jimmy G beat the Cowboys, and my buddy's a huge Cowboys fan, so I'm like, how did you let Jimmy G beat you, right? But, watching him on the Niners, you guys have always had such an incredible defense paired with Shanahan, who's just like one of the greatest offensive minds. It's like, this is not the guy. This is not the guy, because arguably, if you had a half-decent quarterback the last 5 years, you guys have a championship, and you just, unfortunately, injuries plus Jimmy G equal no championship for the Niners, right? So I think the Raiders, that's just a move. You lose Carr to the Saints, and you got to sign somebody, and he's a good-looking guy, and obviously the Raiders just moved to Las Vegas, so he fits Las Vegas. He fits that, kind of like the model quarterback look, right? I think it's more of like a PR play than it is an actual like, we think the Raiders are going to do well this year. Then you have, listen, elephant in the room. Mahomes, no one's beating Mahomes. Like, we're not anywhere near anybody significantly challenging Mahomes. And I want to go back to the Super Bowl. They lost to Brady. First off, I can't believe that wasn't a game. So disappointing. It's just a football fan, right? Like, it just wasn't a game. And I don't know what happened. I know that Andy Reid's son was in that accident, or drunk driving thing, like the night before, which I thought was super suspect. Like, how the heck did that happen? That had to have affected how he coached that game and a number of the personnel. But I don't know if their offensive line was hurt, how that worked. But Mahomes, no one's close. I think Herbert's second, and now you got Russ. And I'm of the opinion that Russ had a down year. He's going to come back. I'm not saying he's going to be a Pro Bowler, but if he was, are you surprised? I don't think so. So I think it's Mahomes' game to lose every year without injuries to the Chiefs. I think that it's the Chiefs' division for the next couple of years.
Yeah, not much to add other than I disagree on Jimmy G, but I do think that I'm cool on the AFC West this year simply because they disappointed me so badly last year, right? I remember, and this was already a pretty hot take, I get it, but I think I chose 3 or 4 teams from the AFC West to go to the playoffs, which is like insane. I get it, but they were just incredibly disappointing as a division. I do think that Jimmy Garoppolo is a better quarterback than the lead singer of Green Day, Derek Carr, and I think it's like a good situation for him. He's good with weapons, right? Like, he's led the Niners to good seasons. Every year he's been with the Niners, he's led the Niners to good seasons with weapons, right? Like, he can make decisions fine. He's not great. He's not going to do anything that like shocks you or does anything like incredible, but he's going to make good decisions, get the ball in the hands of people who are doing good things. Somehow Derek Carr couldn't even do that.
Yeah, but Derek Carr threw for way more touchdowns than Jimmy G did. And also, if Derek Carr had Kyle Shanahan, I think if you
it could be a scheme thing. It could be a scheme thing. We'll see. That so my hypothesis is that Jimmy G is better with weapons than Derek Carr, and maybe Derek Carr is better at making something out of nothing. I don't know. I actually don't know what Derek Carr is good at. I'm not fully convinced he's one of the best 30 quarterbacks in the league, but Jimmy G, I think, is better than with weapons, but it certainly could be a scheme thing. Thoughts?
I think Daps, I think you pretty much hit the nail on the head, at least from a Niners fan perspective. Jimmy G has always been that guy where it's like, he's good enough, right? And never really enough to get us over the mountaintop. But he's a good placeholder. That's what it is.
I don't think they're going to win a championship or anything like that. I just think they're going to do probably better than last year.
I think, to John's point, he's upper half of the game managers in the game right now, I would say. He's pretty good. He's pretty efficient. And I think the major fault I have with Carr would be he plays hero ball. Like, he does make bigger plays, without a doubt. He has a bigger arm for sure, but he makes a lot more mistakes, in my opinion. And he digs himself into a hole that he has to get himself out of. And if he makes a big play, he does look like a hero. But if he doesn't, that's kind of the Derek Carr we know, is he's looks great or he looks terrible. That's my opinion, at least. And I mean, I think Jimmy G is probably going to throw for fewer touchdowns, but don't you think also that like Josh Jacobs is going to see an increase in touchdowns based off having a guy like Jimmy G run the offense, if assuming he's healthy? I guess
that's I guess my assumption is that we'll see more Josh Jacobs touches. We'll see more Devontae Adams, like just good passes to him. They don't need to be like great passes, right? And he'll get the ball in the hands of the people who are more skilled. While we're here in the AFC West, though, do you want to address this, Casey? What are your thoughts? I mean, you just said that you think Russ still has good seasons in him.
Yeah, I think the Raiders finished last in that division. I think Jimmy G stinks. I don't think he's a top, I don't think he's a top 20 quarterback. Like, he might be 25. I think Derek Carr is better than him. I think that in a dome, Derek Carr, I mean, I guess Las Vegas is a dome too, but he's going to be fine in the Saints scheme. He's got some weapons over there with Kamara and the younger receivers. And if Jimmy G doesn't have better stats with Devontae Adams than Derek Carr in New Orleans, I think that'll answer our debate right now. I think that the Raiders, by the way, last year, I don't know the specific stat, but I think they lost like 6 or 7 games by less than a touchdown. And that just saying like that, you lose by less than a touchdown that many times, that could have changed their record with a couple plays. Like, they had a lot of unfortunate luck, and I guess it was time to move on from Carr, but there was a couple seasons where I thought Carr was incredible, and I've never thought that of Jimmy G in his whole career. And listen, he came up under Brady. He goes to the Niners. I really feel bad for Kyle Shanahan above everybody else, because first off, that Super Bowl that he lost to the Patriots, the Falcons should have won that one, right? Like, they lose that. Right. And then he gets the job in San Fran, and he just never had a quarterback. Then they finally draft Lance, breaks his ankle. And then they get Purdy, who looks pretty solid, doesn't lose a game, and they don't even get to, really see his value in the playoffs. So It was unfortunate, but AFC West, I'm going Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Raiders. And also, like I said, Russ has a ton of weapons. Russ has a ton of receivers. I really think he can turn it around. We'll see. There's a lot of guys, by the way, who go to a new system, go to a new city, and they stink year one, and then, they get their, ground underneath them and their feet, and we'll see. We'll see. I still believe in Russ. I think he's got a couple more years left in the tank. So even if the Broncos finish second, because they did get Sean Payton, is that correct?
Yeah, they did. Yep.
That's so like, I could see Sean Payton out coaching that guy on the Chargers. By the way, that coach is an idiot. He should be fired. He has made some like
Staley.
The way he coached that Jaguars game they lost. And the I don't know if you guys remember, they played. I went to the game. It was Chargers versus Raiders in Las Vegas, and it was almost a tie. I don't know if you remember this, but if they tied, they both got in, and if the Chargers won, they both got in. And Staley's decision making like lost them the game. And right. I'm like, why does this guy still have a job? You have Justin Herbert, you have Eckler, you have Keenan Allen, you have Mike Williams. I mean, this team is stacked with weapons, like arguably some of the best weapons in the league, plus Herbert's arm, and you can't win a playoff game. It's or even get into the playoffs. So I could see Sean Payton coming in and out coaching some of these dudes and coming in second. So like Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers, and that shouldn't happen. The Chargers should be 2 based on their personnel, but we'll see.
Yep. So real quick, I'll just tie some loose ends here. The Broncos were the only other team I wanted to really speak to in this division because I'm just trying to keep it to what acquisitions really happened over the offseason. And I think that the pair of Frank Clark on the edge and offensive tackle Mike McGlinchey are 2 kind of under the radar signings that are pretty big. Mike McGlinchey, I'll be the first to say, not an elite blocker in the NFL, but he's a great run blocker. He really is. He's truly like a top 10 offensive tackle when it comes to run blocking, probably even higher than that. A little bit of a liability in pass protection, but I think Sean Payton's a good enough coach. He knows how to use a guy like that. So I actually agree with your Broncos take. I think Russ is bound for a move in the right direction with Sean Payton at the helm. I think that they've got quite a bit of talent on that team, and that's just what it takes to win in the league. I think you said it was Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers, Raiders. Am I right? Or did you have
my initial was Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, Raiders, but I was saying I wouldn't be surprised if it went Chiefs, Broncos, and you flip the Chargers and the Broncos. I think also there was some crazy stat I read last year that said, I think it was 16 points, but correct me if I'm wrong. It was if the Broncos scored 16 points a game, they would have been like 8-2 or 8-3 through 11 games. Like they couldn't score any points. And there's just no way. It's like it's only up from here with Russ after his season last year. That's how bad it was. So
I agree with you. I'm back in, double dip, go back in for some more pain after last season because I was on that train then. That's going to do it for the AFC West. Let's move to the AFC North now. So the North, here's the list of transactions that I have. I think this includes the only re-signing just because it was in all the headlines for the entire offseason. So let's start with the Ravens re-signing Lamar Jackson to a 5-year deal, resetting the market pretty much. The Ravens also signed Odell Beckham Jr. to a 1-year deal, and they drafted wide receiver Zay Flowers at number 22 overall, so double dipping on receivers for Lamar Jackson. The Steelers draft offensive tackle Broderick Jones at number 14 overall. The Bengals sign an offensive tackle of their own, Orlando Brown Jr., and the Browns sign edge rusher Zadarius Smith. Now, do any of those moves jump out at you, and who do you like in this division? Back to you, Daps.
So I think Jordan Love stinks. I'm not sold on him. I'm actually pretty bullish on Justin Fields. I think that some of the stat lines he put up last year were unbelievable. I think that Chicago's coaching last year, Nagy's an idiot. I don't know if he was I think he started the season and they fired him in the middle of the season.
Yeah, he didn't finish out the season. It's Eberflus now.
He's a moron. I'm glad he's out of there. He should have been fired years ago, in my opinion. And what I think personally, some of these coaches, they try to put some of these younger guys in these boxes, right? And like Justin Fields can be a generational talent. I think he had like games where he rushed for 100 yards, right? And when you have a guy like that, that's why I love the McDaniels and I love the Kyle Shanahans, because they create these schemes and these plays that are built around their players, right? And they use them, like Deebo Samuel, for example. Like he's just a beast, and he's a receiver, but he's running the ball 5 to 10 times a game. And not only is he running it, but he's running it for like 10, 15 yards per carry. So with Fields, I love his potential. I've seen like the Kirk Cousins hatred over the last 5 to 10 years or since he's been in the league. I'm not a Kirk Cousins hater. I think he definitely let down Minnesota last year with his playoff performance. But listen, he's got Justin Jefferson. He's got weapons over there. Rodgers is out of the division now. So I'd have to I love the coach on the Lions, by the way, Campbell. He's a beast. They have a lot of heart. I don't think Goff is good. So for me, I like Justin Fields as the quarterback to kind of emerge as the guy in that division. Does that translate to them being the best team? I don't know. I could see Minnesota stacking that division again at the top, and then maybe the Bears coming in second with I don't know. I don't know about the Lions, dude. The Packers, that organization, I kind of roll my eyes at. Not picking a skill player over the last 10 years or whatever the stat is for Rodgers. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And they're always like 1 or 2 wins away from getting to the Super Bowl, and it's like that one pick that had you made that the correct pick in the draft and you had that skill player. Now, listen, they had Devontae Adams and they had Aaron Jones the last, 5 years, which is like a top 5 or top 10 running back and receiver. But why would you not want another threat on offense? Their defense was always good. It was never elite. Maybe one of the last 5 years, their Green Bay's defense was elite, but I don't like how Green Bay and that front office handled Rodgers, I think they kind of squandered at least one championship, one more they should have won. So I think I like the Bears and I like Minnesota. I would probably go Minnesota a little, would have the edge over the Bears just because Fields hasn't really done anything yet.
So real quick, what do you think of the AFC now?
Nice. Wow. Well, guys, so that was the NFC North.
That was the NFC North.
No, I mean, hey, great take. Great take.
We probably skipped the NFC.
I didn't want to interrupt, but yeah.
Now we'll go into the AFC North, guys. AFC North, Burrow, elite. I think he's the guy to beat there. But you've got all these.
He's like playoff Jimmy to me. Like he shows up in big moments.
And also, he's doing it way earlier than Jimmy too. Like,
well, yeah, they kind of needed it at the end of the season last year, but like, I mean, he was there then, and then even in the playoffs, it was like these guys are another team.
Burrow's like a winner, you know.
Yeah,
he's just a winner.
He's a gamer.
Yeah, he's a gamer, and I think that it's kind of his division to lose. The Steelers, who are the kind of like the staple of that division for so long with Roethlisberger and Tomlin. Yeah. I just don't know about Pickett yet. If he picks it up, maybe. But again, you have Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson in that division now. And that could turn into potentially one of the best divisions in football again. So,
yeah,
if Lamar is healthy.
The Ravens are probably the main team most people would say are vying.
I have really two questions for you, Casey. Is one, what are your thoughts on Pickett? I know a lot of people, like Steelers fans, are pretty hot on him. And two, is the jury still out on whether Lamar Jackson can like throw? Because he's got the weapons now, right?
Yeah. So to Pickett, I think Pickett's a fine quarterback. I think, when we're talking about guys like Jimmy G, Derek Carr, I think in that caliber, at least already.
Do you think he's more of a game? Oh, do you think he's more of a game manager? Or do you think he's more of a playmaker?
Well, I just mean in the where he fits probably in the QB rankings in that kind of 20 to 25 ratio. Like nobody's ecstatic to have that guy, but I would say with him, at least he's young. He can still develop and get better. While Jimmy G and Derek Carr, whoever you prefer out of those two guys, neither one of those guys are like the savior of any franchise. Let's be real, that's my opinion at least. So I think the Steelers, the main thing is like Pickens just continuing to develop. I think he's going to be a huge weapon for Pickett, and they're going to continue to vibe out. Najee Harris is going to do his thing, and I think the Steelers are going to be good, but I do think it probably comes down to the Ravens and Bengals. Everything you said about the Bengals, *2 from me. Joe Burrow, incredible. The receiving core there, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and they still have Boyd, I think, too. They're just stacked everywhere as can be. So it's going to come down to them and the Ravens. And exactly, John, is Lamar that guy or not? Is the jury still out? I'd say right now it is not, as far as the NFL is concerned, since he landed his 5-year deal, not even having an agent, mind you. But yeah, he does have the weapons now. So my question is, what happens if he doesn't meet expectations? What do we think about this deal literally next offseason? Well, and how possible is that?
And I mean, I'll only add kind of one thing here. Two things, I guess. One, hats off to Lamar. I mean, not a lot of us have ever negotiated 180.
Hey, his mom helped
in business. So hats off. No agent. That's really impressive. Yeah. Mom helped. But hats off to the mom too, I guess. Hopefully she got her agent fee. Hopefully she got her 10%,
I think she's getting more than 10%. Let's be real. Mom's getting hers.
So yeah. Hats off to Lamar. Congrats on the deal. I do think he has more or less earned a payday up to this point. Especially considering the best weapon the Ravens have put around him is a freaking tight end. And I'm not bashing tight ends. It's just there's very few teams in the NFL where it's like, the legitimate best weapon is a tight end, and those are like elite tight ends, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, I think let's see. To me, what is the expectation? Because I know NBA better than NFL. With what the Ravens have just done, if this were an NBA team, we'd be saying it's a ring or it's a failure. Right? Like that's what the organization would be saying. With what we just assembled, with what we just paid this guy, if we don't win a ring, it's a failure. And we have this big barrier in the way, even in their division of the Bengals. What they've assembled is good, but is it enough to get by the Bengals? Personally, I would still go Bengals on this, but we'll see.
All right, boys, let's wrap up this division real quick. One more time around the horn. Who wins this division? Gun to your head. I'll say the Bengals.
Bengals.
Okay, we're in agreement then. Okay, moving on from the AFC North to the AFC South now. The major transactions I have here over the offseason. Okay, that's AFC South. Okay.
A is an apple. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, got it.
All right. So the
This
AFC
can be a
South,
quick one.
Here's how it went. It could be for sure. Texans draft QB CJ Stroud from Ohio State at number 2 overall to be their new quarterback. They also drafted edge Will Anderson from Alabama at number 3 overall. So back-to-back picks in the top 3, pretty key for the Texans there. The Colts draft their QB of the future, Anthony Richardson from Florida at number 4 overall. A lot of high picks in this division. They did really good last year. Titans draft offensive tackle Peter Skoronski from Northwestern at number 11. Jaguars draft their own offensive tackle Anton Harrison from Oklahoma at 27 overall. That was the best move I could find from the Jaguars. Chat, let me know if I missed somebody. Guys, which of these moves speaks to you, and who do you think takes this division? And is it wide open?
I think the Jags are the clear-cut favorite to win the division. I think that there's way too much uncertainty with rookie quarterbacks in the NFL. So not to say that Richardson or Stroud, it's Stroud, right? Who went to the Texans.
Texans. Yep.
So not to say that either of them can't be great and can't be good quickly too. I mean, the division isn't that strong. So I'm sure one of them can look, like a good athlete, good quarterback early. But what I saw from T-Law, like, he's a gamer too. He's a baller. What he did against the Chargers was impressive, right? So he was down. He came back. That's a big win. That's a big moment in a young player's career, right? So that really kind of showed me, like, wow, Trevor Lawrence is for real. This isn't a joke. He's got a good amount of weapons with ETN and all his receiving core, young, a lot of guys who he can throw the ball to. So I'd love to see what these kids can do on the Texans and the Colts, Richardson and Stroud. We'll see. I don't think the Texans really have those weapons. It'd be one thing if, D-Hop was still on the Texans and this kid comes in and he's got this top 5 receiver, but he doesn't. And I don't think the Colts have enough pieces. I like that. Is it Pierce, the receiver, strong
Alec
young
Pierce.
receiver. Yeah. But again, weird front office moves and direction over the last couple of years for the Colts. I don't think they're in sync. And when you see kind of signs of that, that doesn't lead me to believe there's going to be elite play on the field. So I'm going Jags above everybody else in that division.
I'm mostly in agreement with you. The only other team I'd just point out at all, I'll go with the Texans just because I'm a Shanahan disciple guy. So having D'Amico Ryans come over there, I think that's a massive get for their organization, for him to bring that culture over and be the head coach there. We're seeing success across the league with Shanahan disciples taking over. I mean, people forget even like Sean McVay technically is a Shanahan disciple. So there's a bunch of them in the league taking their own teams, to the playoffs nowadays. So maybe it's not a this year thing, but having those number 2, number 3 picks. I mean, those are going to pay off in the next couple of years. So I'd say this is going to be the Jags and the Texans for the next few years to come. And I'd also agree that the Jags are probably the main one this year. John, what do you got?
If you look at the date, March 6th, 1983, you'll see that it is not, in fact, yesterday. It's Mike McDaniel's birthday. He wasn't born yesterday. And he's going to win the division, I think. Also a Shanahan disciple, right? Am I wrong about that?
Yeah. Wrong division, but yes.
Yeah, Shanahan disciple will be in the AFC East.
Correcto.
Yeah.
Es correcto.
Okay. Well, at least I'm not the only one.
Yeah,
I'm messing up on this show.
Right.
Now I feel good.
Feel better.
We're all here. We're shaking off the cobwebs.
Yes, that's Dolphins. I'm mixing up my Florida teams is what's going on. Mm-hmm. I mean, I more or less think Jaguars as well. I like seeing rookie QBs. It's fun. It's fun to see if they break out. And we got the number 2 and number 4 pick, right, in this division. So
number 2, 3, and 4 pick, yeah.
Yeah, for QBs, was the 3 pick a QB as well?
No, he was the best defensive player.
Yeah, so number 2 pick and the number 4 pick were both QBs in this division. If any young QB is going to break out, maybe they have as good of a chance as any, right? So, but generally, I just feel like it's not that exciting of a division anyway. But yeah, if I'm going to pick a team, it's going to be the Jaguars.
Since you mentioned it, they do have Will Levis too. He got picked somewhere. It was not first round. That was like the
Will Levi's
guy.
You mean Levi's?
He was the guy sitting around.
Heir to the Levi Strauss empire.
That's not accurate. Yes, but
100% accurate. Don't fact check it though.
He was the first pick of the second round, so he had to be the guy who sat around on draft day, just like waiting for the call that never came. So he's buried on that depth chart though, behind Tannehill of all people. So if you can't beat Tannehill to the job, I don't think you're going to be the guy. All right, that's the AFC South. I think we all said the Jags are going to win it. Moving on to the AFC East, because we've got to pick up the pace here. I know you want to talk about this one, Daps, so I'll run through these real quick. I got a few of the Jets ones for you. So the Jets acquire, of course, a new quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. They sign a couple of his favorite targets in Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb, a pair of wide receivers. They also draft edge Will McDonald, the fourth from Iowa State, with the 15th overall pick. So adding some value there on the defensive line to go with an already stacked defense. The Dolphins acquire Jalen Ramsey, Pro Bowl cornerback, as well as hiring new defensive coordinator Vic Fangio, who's been in the league about 80 years or so, it seems like. The Bills draft tight end Dalton Kincaid from Utah. Shout out to John at number 25 overall. And the Patriots draft cornerback Christian Gonzalez from Oregon at number 17 overall. That was a mouthful. Guys, which ones do you like? Let's just start talking about the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think it's close. Like, obviously, the Jets have the greatest upgrade, and of all offseason moves, it's like, who cares about the rest when you're talking about Aaron Rodgers and then the rest of the offseason moves? I don't think anybody's really going to bring up what the Bills, the Patriots, or the Dolphins did. Jalen Ramsey, don't get me wrong, amazing, but also kind of on the back end of his career. Maybe he's got 1 or 2 elite years left. Xavier Howard, I think, is still on that team. I listen, I love McDaniel and what his potential. I hate that he's in our division on the other side of the aisle. I think Mac Jones stinks. I don't think he's good. I think that Bill Belichick can always keep you in the game and win a game against anybody in the league still. But going from Brady to Mac Jones is like going from an A+ to like a C or a D. Like it's just such a drop off. And now listen, Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers in the same division. That's just cool. I'm definitely going to Monday Night Football to watch that game to start the season. Like, you're just hoping that that's a high-powered offense. Now, listen, Rodgers has Garrett Wilson. But by the way, as a Jets fan, last year, I'm watching the Jets, and it's tough to watch Jet games, by the way. You don't even know who the quarterback is, right? Zach Wilson stinks. Joe Flacco's in. Mike White comes in, has an amazing game, and everyone's like, oh, he's the greatest quarterback ever. He stinks. So I'm watching Garrett Wilson. I'm thinking, wow, this dude is like an elite receiver, and he looks like an elite receiver with no quarterback. So now you bring in Aaron Rodgers, and I'll say it right now. I believe Garrett Wilson can be a top 5 wide receiver because of Aaron Rodgers, right? Like, if Aaron Rodgers, remember, we're talking about a guy who won, correct me if I'm wrong, 2 of the last 3 MVPs, right? Is that correct?
He did, yeah. Back-to-back
MVPs maybe. And Rodgers won 2. Like, this is, everyone can talk about how old he is, but it's like, this dude won 2 of the last 3 MVPs. How old is he, right? And now he potentially has, you have Garrett Wilson, you have Breece Hall, who looked like an absolute beast before he got hurt.
Beast Hall.
Right? Beast Hall. You have Lazard and Cobb, so he's already comfortable with those guys. You still have Corey Davis, who is a monster on the Titans. And also, by the way, this is arguably the best quarterback that Corey Davis has ever played with. So he's got insane weapons, in my opinion. I think Garrett Wilson is like young Devontae Adams, young Justin Jefferson, so to speak, right? That's what Rodgers is going to make him look like. So I'm super excited. He's already played in the cold in Green Bay. Very similar situation in New York, so it's not going to feel uncomfortable for him. Listen, we've got a tough schedule. We're playing Josh Allen twice. We're playing Mahomes. We're playing Herbert. But I don't think that it's even a debate which team made the best moves in this division. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean the Jets are going to win the division. Like I said, still got to beat the Bills. The Bills are still the team to beat, but Josh Allen goes on these runs where he looks unstoppable, and then towards the end of the season, he like falls apart. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say that. He had that incredible game against Mahomes, and if they flip the coin and he gets it, they could be in the Super Bowl. So some things didn't go Josh Allen's way, but it's not going Josh Allen's way when Aaron Rodgers comes to town and you got to play him twice.
I'm not even going to disagree with you, honestly. Anybody who listened last year to our football coverage, they know I'm way on board the Breece Hall train, especially, and the Jets did make amazing moves, I think, over the offseason. I think they're the most improved team by a mile here. I'll save my answer to who I think will win the division until we wrap back around one more time. But I have one question for you before I kick it over to John. Daps, if you had the chance, would you swap your head coach for Mike McDaniel? Would you swap Robert Saleh for Mike McDaniel? You brought it up. That's why I had to ask the question.
So my first instinct is yes, I would. But having Aaron Rodgers makes me say, okay, offense is taken care of. I'll keep Robert Saleh for the defensive end, right? That's kind of where I'm at. So like,
okay,
if I didn't have Rodgers, I would say, yeah, give me McDaniel. But because I just think he can scheme offensively better. And also, I personally think it's more fun to watch your team when they're like scoring. You know, like the Jets they were winning games last year, but they weren't scoring. I think they were 8-2 or 8-3 at one point, and they missed the playoffs. Like, it's not a team that you want to watch. It's just
okay. So this is pretty much like how Tom Brady became the de facto OC of Tampa Bay when he went there. I like it. It makes sense to me. I like you making it make sense for your head coach. I like backing him up. John, what do you got for this division?
You gotta build the narrative that you have, right? If you feel like you're a contender, not a lot. You know, I think if I were to
we know you're a Mike McDaniel fan.
Yeah, he wasn't born yesterday, Casey. He turned 40 this year. Also, I learned so much about Mike McDaniel. Also, what was with that whole statement? And he's like, sometimes tall things are short and the ceiling is high. Like, what are you talking about?
I don't know what he's saying, but I love him.
I don't know.
That's another Shanahan disciple thing. Shanahan got asked the question, like, do you anticipate whoever it was is going to be on the roster in a month? He goes, I can't even guarantee we'll all be alive in a month, you know? And you're like, well, okay. Like, I guess that's fair, but like, you said nothing.
Yeah, no. So if I were to paint like a crazy narrative wherein the Dolphins win the division, it would look something like Josh Allen gets the Madden curse. The Jets are the Jets, and they just manage to do Jets things and fall apart. And the Dolphins and Tua actually is good. Like we still don't really know. It's like he looked good, but then he had these.
When you started that statement, I thought this is crazy, and then when you broke it down, I'm like,
yeah. I mean, the Madden curse is a little out there. It doesn't happen to everybody, but it does happen.
It almost happens to everybody.
It's not a thing.
It almost happens to everybody.
It's kind of
so that's what that narrative looks like. If anything, I think maybe the Dolphins might be the most steady team, especially if they acquire Dalvin Cook, because. Well, they've just had to get by with like backup quarterbacks and stuff like that. So it's like Tyreek is incredible. Dalvin Cook's incredible. If Tua is even okay, they could be really good. And you have Mike McDaniel. So yeah, I don't think if I had to bet, right, I wouldn't bet on them to win the division. I would bet on the Bills. But you know, if I have to make a crazy narrative, that's what it is.
Yeah, I think no injuries in a perfect world where no injuries happen to any teams. I think the Dolphins are 3.
Yeah.
I wanted to say water. I'll just represent the other side of the equation. John's got the Dolphins. Daps, you got the Jets. I'll say the Bills. I think that's probably maybe where the betting odds are right now. Maybe it's the Jets now. I'm not too sure.
I could check. I did put into a poll, and if I ended it now, it would be heavily Bills, 71% Bills. I'm sure our YouTube audience reflects the betting odds in Vegas.
Just to make a little case for the Bills too, you know, Dalvin Cook could easily wind up in Buffalo as well. Those were 2 of my 3 destinations for him. If you read the Daily Triple, subscribe to that newsletter down below in the description, by the way. All right, guys, let's move on to the next division. We got to speed it up here. NFC East. Here are the moves. Eagles draft defensive tackle Jalen Carter from Georgia at number 9 overall. Cowboys acquire wide receiver Brandon Cooks. Giants acquire tight end Darren Waller. Commanders hire OC Eric Bieniemy. Commanders draft cornerback Emmanuel Forbes from Mississippi State at number 16 overall. I'm going to start this one off and say I think the 2 biggest moves here, one would be the Giants acquiring tight end Darren Waller. That's another one of those offenses that just never got an elite target other than a guy out of the backfield, which is kind of not fair for the quarterback. That's not really a guy who can be your number 1 target, Saquon Barkley. Defenses can swarm into the backfield too easily. So having Darren Waller there in the middle of the field is going to relieve a lot of pressure off of Saquon. And it's probably going to make that kind of ragtag bunch of wide receivers they have there look a little bit better. and they've actually looked okay over the past few years anyway with Daniel Jones at the helm. So is this a make or break year for them? I think they actually bought themselves some slack last year. So Giants still trending up. Great move for them. And I'm not even a Giants guy. The other one I like here, Commanders hire OC Eric Bieniemy. This is kind of a make or break thing for him because this is the guy who's been looked over time and time again for a head coaching job because he's been with the Chiefs and Andy Reid for so long. Everybody knows that Andy Reid is the maestro of that offense. Eric Bieniemy just benefited from being the OC and kind of rode the coattails, right? That's kind of the narrative. So we get to see Eric Bieniemy here take over a garbage fire of a team. If he can turn the Commanders offense around, he's going to get a head coach job next year probably. So it's put up or shut up time for him. But I think it's tough being given that roster right now. So it's tough sledding.
Daps, I'm going to ask you to do something that I just know Casey cannot do. He's incapable physically of doing it. Make the case for them boys.
Yeah, I'm not a Cowboys hater.
Casey is a Cowboys.
I
don't think he hates many teams,
but there's a lot of Cowboys. I mean, I would say majority of the country hates the Cowboys. You know,
if you already brought up the Niners Cowboys rivalry. I mean, that's
if there's one team that everybody hates, it's.
I was always a Jets fan, but I really did idolize Emmitt Smith and Mike Irvin growing up too. Like those teams were obviously, winning, and Deion Sanders, and Prime played for the Niners and the Cowboys. But I think that because of those years, I did like the Cowboys and didn't hate them. Now I hate Cowboys fans. Like you just want them.
They're
to
a real bummer.
That unites us all,
right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not a Dak hater. I always liked Zeke. I think Mike McDaniel's an idiot. I like the Brandon Cooks signing. He's on the back. Brandon Cooks always is making plays. He's a playmaker. They've got CD. Tony Pollard's a beast. So if they can be healthy, I think they look good. I think the biggest move though is that the Eagles trading up to get that pick. I was like, wow, they have such a good defense already, and they just picked this kid who was arguably, by the way, supposed to go 1 overall before he got in that accident. And he slipped to 9 or 10 to the Eagles. So that's by far the biggest move. I don't think the Cowboys have the Eagles number after what happened last year. But listen, if the Cowboys won the division, would I be shocked? Absolutely not. The Cowboys have enough weapons. They have an elite running back. They have an elite receiver. They have a great complementary receiver.
Great defense.
They have a great defense. They have one of the best cornerbacks. They have arguably the best edge rusher. They have a great tight end. So, Dak is I can't believe he hasn't put it together, because there's times where I watch Dak and I'm like, wow, he's a playmaker. And then there's other times where I'm like, what's going on? And then you add did I say McDaniel before?
You did. I didn't want to stop you because you're on the row.
What is the coach's name of?
But, so
McCarthy, excuse me.
McCarthy,
so, McCarthy is an idiot. And sorry, I said
everybody agrees with that too.
Yeah. McCarthy's an idiot, and some of the things the plays he calls, and when he doesn't take a timeout, or these crucial moments where it's just bonehead plays. I just don't get it. And you went from Jason Garrett, who was the same thing for 10 years, and he shouldn't have had the job for that long. So listen, if the Cowboys win the division, though, I'm not surprised. I think it's the Eagles, though, to take.
Just one thing real quick. The reminder, Jalen Carter got drafted at the defensive tackle spot for the Eagles, probably because they had to let go of Javon Hargrave in free agency, with the Niners scooped up. So that they're just filling a hole. They're not just purely adding to what they already had, just because. So
they lost the guy to the Niners.
Yeah, and then they used that draft pick to replace him, just like the Niners did not too long ago with DeForest Buckner, using drafting Kinlaw with that pick they got from him. Sorry, John.
So you think Eagles stack the division for me? Eagles, then
it's Eagles, Cowboys, Giants,
Commanders. Yeah. Casey, what do you think?
I mean, I'll stay true to form here and go Eagles, Giants, Cowboys, Commanders.
You can't put the Commanders in front of the Cowboys.
The Giants are a decent squad. I mean, I think the Giants, that's fairly fair. The Eagles are going to win the division.
I think I'm with you, Daps. I think Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Commanders.
I think the Giants overachieved last year. I'm not saying they can't do it. Hats off to the.
I kind of like Dan Jones, but
hats off to the coach over Dan Jones. But if
Saquon if Saquon sits out, it's all over. There's
yeah,
no chance.
yeah. It's like there's they don't have enough there.
The New York Saquon Barkley. Yeah.
What is your hesitation in re-signing him? I don't understand. They're stupid, but that's the Giants, I guess.
All right, let's move to the NFC South. What do we got?
NFC South, guys. Here are the main moves. We have a lot of Panthers action. Panthers draft quarterback Bryce Young from Alabama at number 1 overall. They had their pick. They got their guy. They paired him with new head coach Frank Reich, who is known for developing young quarterbacks. Kind of a hit and miss reputation. They also signed a veteran receiver, Adam Thielen, to go along with that offense. We already touched on Saints signing Derek Carr. That's in this division. Falcons draft running back Bijan Robinson from Texas at number 8 overall. And the Buccaneers signed Baker Mayfield, who might find himself in a position battle with Kyle Trask. Hot take. We don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Which one of these moves speaks to you most? John, you want to start one?
I think after you just read that, Casey, I think this is the worst division in football.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's close.
There's something about all of the moves you just said.
Wait, what about Derek Carr, though? I thought you were
something about all of that. None of those excite me.
Well, I think Derek Carr might look like the best quarterback in that division, making him, making him look way better. Number 1, and number 2, maybe the Panthers drafting Young. Maybe that's the move. Maybe the Panthers are
it could be
the team that maybe he's the standout because of circumstance and because of this division being so atrocious. Is just. I hate all of these teams right now. I also think such a powerful division for so long.
Yeah.
Right. Like the Panthers have been in the Super Bowl. The Falcons were good for so long. Yeah. The Saints were good for so long. The Bucs get Brady. So
yeah. Sad to see it happen, but yeah, it happens. Anyway, I maybe it's just my take on Derek Carr, but I think he's so volatile. Basically, he could easily be the worst starting quarterback in this division too. Like there's not a reality where Baker Mayfield has an okay season, at least better than Derek Carr might have at a new spot too. Baker Mayfield, not for nothing, I'm no Baker fan, but he came into LA at the end of last season and Baker Mayfield played really well for the Rams, on what was it, like 16 hours notice. That was pretty good. Bryce Young could come into the scene and just be the guy. You never know. And who do the Falcons have? Desmond Ridder starting. I always liked Ridder a little bit. He's one of those guys that can move. That offense is built to run. He can certainly do it from the QB position. So, I mean, this is the division to me that's wide open. Somebody's going to play good, and they'll be like the Giants of last year, where just something had to happen, and one of these teams will be a decent playoff team probably. I don't know who it is though. I'll wait till we wrap back around. John, what do you think?
I have little to nothing to say about this division. That's how unexcited I am. Although I am excited to see what Bryce Young does. That's about all I have to say here. I will break really quick to say, Daps, we appreciate you being here. I know you have to jump to something else. You're a little bit late already. Appreciate you giving us the time.
This was a blast, and I hope we can all chat.
We'll get you back every other week or so when I'm here. So
definitely.
Yeah. Cool.
Thanks so much,
Daps.
guys.
Thanks for joining, Daps.
All right, I got us on the background. Look at that.
Oh, thanks, John. Look at you.
Smooth transitions.
Look at you, cowboy. Love it.
You want the thick? Oh,
I did it. I did. I wanted that thicky thick. Yeah. All right.
You like it. You do like it thick, yeah.
All right, John. Just you and me then. Who wins this division? Last thing here. In the NFC
we're in the NFC South still, right? I guess who cares?
Panthers, Saints, Falcons, Bucks. Yeah.
Panthers.
Okay.
Well,
I like it.
I'll take a flyer on Bryce Young being really good.
You're an Adam Thielen fan too. That works.
I mean, I like the Vikings. I don't think I think he's a good possessional receiver, but he's not going to make a difference, He's not like a difference maker guy.
I think I'm going to go with the Falcons. I think my take on the Panthers is similar to the Texans, where I actually think that Bryce Young could be a really good NFL quarterback. And I think Frank Reich is kind of destined to remain a head coach. He's been kind of on the bubble of the head coaching cycle. But I think this is a decent squad. It's just probably not their year quite yet. Probably going to be a sophomore breakout for Bryce Young, not a rookie breakout. I'll go with the Falcons because they got Bijan Robinson. Love that guy. He can tote the rock 40 times a game if you need him to. He's going to be at his best immediately in the NFL because he's a running back. They don't take any time to develop. Run him till the wheels fall off. And Desmond Ridder, he is a sophomore actually in the league, so maybe he will break out. I think he's the guy who flies under the radar. So let's see what happens. Moving on now to the NFC North. John,
we already got the rundown on the NFC North.
We really did. Well, yeah, from Daps, which is great. He had to go, so he was just thinking ahead of time. The only division he's really going to miss is my favorite division, which is great because there's only you to talk crap about my team. But let's stick to the NFC North for a second. John, your division here. Here are the moves that I have as the major moves this offseason. The Bears acquire wide receiver DJ Moore. Bears draft offensive tackle Darnell Wright at number 10 overall. Vikings sign defensive end Marcus Davenport. Vikings draft wide receiver Jordan Addison from USC at number 22 overall. Lions sign safety CJ Gardner-Johnson. Lions sign corner Cameron Sutton. Lions draft running back Jahmyr Gibbs at number 12 overall from Alabama. And the Packers draft linebacker Lucas Van Ness from Iowa at number 13 overall. That's a mouthful. Those are the moves. John, what do you think? Who you got? What do you like in here?
So I think no homer. The Vikings are kind of the best team in the division default, but kind of similar to the same way they were last year, where it's like, it's a little bit of a soft title, the NFC North. Though last year it was just because Rodgers and the Packers kind of had a bad year. It'll be interesting to see how Justin Fields develops. He seems to have a very he has like a very Lamar Jackson type situation where it's like not a lot of weapons and he's a big time runner. You never know what happens with those guys, right? Is he a Vince Young, Cam Newton type? Is he someone who will develop into, like more of a Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson? I don't know. But he's got to have weapons in order for it to happen. So, I mean, I will say this about the Vikings, that the wide receiver pickup at pick 22, Jordan Addison. Obviously, Vikings picked him up, went and looked at his highlights. He looks good. Looks like he can plug in, especially with Adam Thielen gone. So, I don't know. Yeah. Again, honestly, as much as it's like, oh, this is the division I'm a fan of, I'm certainly more removed from the NFL, not as invested, and it's kind of an unexciting division as well. Like whoever comes out of this division, I don't see them going deep,
Sure. Yeah, I like the pickups from your team. I think Marcus Davenport's a big one too. He's a really solid defensive edge rusher. He's one of those more like physical guys, like less skilled. I don't want to say less skilled. That's like
he's a big, strong dude.
Yeah, he's an athletic freak, that kind of type. And those guys are always fun to watch,
Right.
When they do make a play, it's crazy looking. It's like good hand fighting is not necessarily the most fun thing to watch.
I mean, I think it's like, Daps is kind of saying like Kirk let us down and Kirk let the Vikings down in the playoffs. I'm like, I think Kirk did exactly what Vikings fans more or less expected him to do. I don't think any of us thought it was like we were all wishful thinking, but nobody's surprised that they choke big time in the playoffs. That's just the Vikings. That's being a Vikings fan. That's how you live. It's how you live your life.
I'll go hot takey here. I'll actually say the Packers are going to finish in the cellar here, and I'll leave your Vikings alone. I think the Packers,
You think the Vikings win the division? Sorry, go ahead. You want to talk about the Packers?
Yeah. I'll go ahead and say the Vikings win the division. I think they're probably that's not too controversial to say. But the two teams in the middle are what I'll touch on the most here. You did mention the Bears and Justin Fields. I agree. He can't be as effective as he should be without weapons, but I think they went out and got him a real number one receiver here from Carolina, DJ Moore. They paid up to get him. They're going to use him. It's good to see them, use some draft capital to go up and get a guy like DJ Moore. They acquired him from the Panthers. Like I said, knowing that they use that draft capital to get him means they're going to give him the ball. They're going to force him the ball a little bit. He's going to be their number one receiver. I think that forcing Darnell Mooney down into the number 2 spot. And don't forget, last season, towards the end of the year, they did pick up Chase Claypool as well, who's kind of always been a developmental, another athletic freak kind of guy. He excels at like jet sweep and stuff, but he's just a massive body. So that those guys moving down the depth chart one slot might all of a sudden make them like better than adequate as like the respective 2 and 3 of an offense, as opposed to the 1 and 2 of an offense. And they're finally rid of Allen Robinson too. So they kind of have it all cleared up. And the Lions, I think this is another team on the come up in the division. They're really, really shaping up this defensive back end with Gardner Johnson and Cameron Sutton being added. That's going to make this defense great. They already play hard-nosed football, led by Dan Campbell, a hard-nosed guy. And they draft the 2nd overall running back from the draft, Jahmyr Gibbs, who a lot of people had higher than Bijan Robinson. So just like my Robinson take, I think they're going to run Gibbs into the ground. That's the style of football they want to play in Detroit. So they are going to do that more than likely. And with a solid defense and with kind of the momentum swinging in their favor the last couple of years, I think this might be the Lions' year to finally make the playoffs.
Second.
Yeah, I think they'll be second, but I'll call them as a playoff team. That's what I'll do. And Bears right in the mix.
Have you ever seen, this is a little aside, but we're an hour in, we're in the deep end at this point. So what have you ever seen I don't mean to be like this guy, the douchey guy. I won state in the 800 meter in high school.
Oh man.
Have you ever seen the video of it when I got, not when I won, but I got second one year? And there's like my stepdad was taking the video and like it was very clear I wasn't going to win. And I was getting caught and he's like, come on, get second, get second, get second. It's just like the weirdest cheer ever. That's Lions. That's the Lions right now. Get second. Come on.
They could sneak up there, man, but the Vikings are a good squad, so it's going to be tough to take it from them.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, let's move on to the NFC West. And I feel like the NFC North is not that exciting. I know you have a lot to say about the NFC West, so
let's dive into it.
Yeah.
Here are the key acquisitions in the NFC West. The 49ers signed defensive tackle Javon Hargrave. Seahawks drafted cornerback Devon Witherspoon at number 5 overall. Seahawks also draft Jackson Smith and Jigba at number 20 overall, 2 first-round draft picks. Cardinals draft Paris Johnson Jr. at number 6 overall. I forgot to put his position in, but he's maybe you can check that for me. Paris Johnson Jr. Just confirm his position for me, John, for the Cardinals. And the Rams draft edge Byron Young at pick number 77 overall. That was literally the biggest acquisition I could find for the Rams. Maybe somebody in the chat has a better one for me, but I think they are finally hitting that salary cap hell that we've been alluding to for the last few years. They didn't make that many big moves this offseason. That was a 3rd round pick I had to put in here, an edge player, but they like him. Offensive tackle. That's what I thought, but I didn't want to make a fool out of myself. So I don't know if you noticed, but I added quite a few offensive tackles to this list because there were a lot drafted in the top 15. I want to say maybe like 6 or 7 offensive tackles drafted in the top 15 in this year's draft. So I don't know. I don't know what that says about the league. But John, which of these moves speak to you? Yeah, exactly. And which of these speak to you, if any, and which teams do you like out of this division?
The Seahawks are the most interesting team to me out of this division. And I didn't say best. I didn't say highest potential. I didn't say anything other than they're simply interesting. They had some high draft picks. And because what did they got? They got Smith Nigib, that guy.
Njigba.
Smith Njigba, yeah. And they got Devon Witherspoon. Yeah, I don't know. They're interesting to me. I would love to. I'm interested to see, like what happens? What happens there? What's going on in Seattle? And I don't know. I mean, look, I'm not like that crazy about any of these moves. If any moves speak to me, it's the draft picks that Seattle made. Obviously, if you're the Niners, you're just fine tuning at this point. I mean, they did have to pick up a quarterback, right? Did you put that in there?
No, I didn't. But Sam Darnold goes to the Niners. Yep. Yeah,
Sam Darnold to the Niners. They had to pick up a quarterback because they won't have a healthy one at the beginning of the season. And which is interesting. I think Romy in the chat earlier said, are they going to, in training camp, are they going to give their kicker some snaps? Safe request for the 49ers to give their kicker some snaps in case they need him for QB in the postseason. Yeah, they're somehow the deepest and not deepest team in the league at the quarterback position. It's like, if it's possible to be both, they are both. So I guess that's like really the storyline from that division that I'm watching. The Rams were really disappointing last year, so I do actually kind of have the Rams pegged to be like less like to overachieve according to everyone's expectations this year. I actually kind of think that everyone's kind of like, because everyone had very high expectations of them last year, having made it to the Super Bowl the year before. They underachieved big time, and now everyone's like, the Rams are out, the Niners are in. I do think we might see the Rams, at least in second in the division. I think a healthy Brock Purdy or Trey Lance, either, paired with Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, and all the other weapons the Niners have, that's the team to beat. in this division, but I could see, just because I'm like Cardinals, the Cardinals will be the Cardinals and probably lose close to half their games and finish in third or something like that. And if the Rams have a decent season and win 75% of their games, which I think they're capable of, and probably everybody's down on them right now, I could see them taking second in the division.
So for me, this is the reason I brought up Javon Hargrave earlier to Daps when he was talking about Phillies, because he was under the impression they added a top 10 NFL draft pick to their defensive line without any other changes. And that's not the case. They tried to replace a Pro Bowler, Javon Hargrave, with a rookie, which I think makes their defensive line worse this season compared to last. The Niners are a different story altogether. They have the reigning Defensive Player of the Year and Nick Bosa on that line. They have Eric Armstead, who's been a mainstay on that line for the last 7-8 years. And they also have guy who was the guy we drafted last year. It doesn't matter. Speed rusher there. Javon Hargrave's going to plug in, and he's going to be probably the second best guy on that line immediately. They actually did get net better on defense. They lost nobody all that important. They did lose like their third string, or their third best linebacker, basically. That's kind of their biggest loss on the defensive side of the ball. So they're going to get even better. Really, the biggest loss they had was their defensive coordinator. So we have a new guy who he actually took over for the Panthers as head coach last year after their whole head coaching debacle happened. But I think the Niners are the team to beat. Like you said, I agree the Seahawks are super interesting. I'm never going to call them more interesting than my Niners, but they are super interesting. Jackson Smith and Jigba at number 20 overall. Added to that receiver room with Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. I would agree with people who say that's one of the stronger trios in the league. Yeah. I think the thing that I wonder about is how much they're going to throw the ball. So how much better can you really get at your passing game unless you increase volume? And it doesn't seem like they even want to. So I guess it's more of like, is the run game going to be able to show up in the same way? These moves, a corner and a receiver in the first round, don't speak to the run game at all. So
yeah, I mean, they speak to classic Pete Carroll stuff, right? Like just make defense better. It's like I think Geno Smith might have caught some people sleeping last year, some teams sleeping.
Yeah. Highest completion percentage in the league last year.
Right. So we'll see when teams are a little bit more ready for like, oh, Geno Smith doesn't completely suck. Like, are we able to complete passes? Kenny Walker 3. That's the other person in Seattle that I'm like very interested in seeing the development of. I think he could be like an elite back. So
it'll be really solid.
That's why I say they're interesting. I don't necessarily think they're going to be that great. I don't even know that I think they're going to make the playoffs. But they're like the most random like wild card team in the division.
Yeah. And not for nothing, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't say, I do keep up with the Niners more than any team. And it is trending that Brock Purdy will be ready for the beginning of the season. Whether or not they choose to actually start him then, if the timeline holds up, that's a different story. They might wait.
On Trey Lance. Like what?
Trey Lance is healthy. Trey Lance is healthy.
Oh, he is. Okay, so Trey Lance could start.
So there is a chance they even go, Brock could play, but let's see Trey for a couple of weeks just to make sure Brock's fine, like really in top condition and kind of getting game-like snaps in practice, not rush him.
What do you think about that? Like, what if Trey plays really well? Then we just have quarterback confusion, yeah?
I almost think there's not a level high enough that Trey Lance could play to unseat Purdy as the number one when 100% healthy. It would have to be, it would have to be undefeated. It would have to be stuff that's not even up to Lance necessarily. They'd have to not lose a game the same way they did with Purdy. And that's not even a fair comparison because Purdy did have the benefit of taking over a team that was already had some momentum going. They weren't unstoppable quite yet, but they were halfway through the season. Purdy comes in. He's kind of the final piece. He gets CMC too. Like that, a lot of things fell in his favor, but still they should have lost games with a rookie quarterback and they just didn't. And Trey Lance has never looked as good in actual games as Brock Purdy looked in every single game that he played, besides the game where he left in the first quarter in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't even care if it's Trey Lance. I'm not in the like trade camp, but I also see a world where Sam Darnold takes over the number 2 job in training camp because he is more.
You're like low on Trey then.
Well, no, it's just that what you look for in a number 2 specifically, I think they're going to carry all 3.
I changed my mind. I think the most interesting thing throughout this season is obviously going to be the Niners, but not because of the Niners themselves, but because I will get to watch your reactions in live time. Because I think there's definitely a world where like
Trey could set the world on fire. He could.
Trey starts, and then Casey's confused about who he is. He has to go on sabbatical He has to go out
Trey
into the
Lance,
woods, decide
Trey
who
Lance,
he thinks his quarterback should be, and like just really do some soul searching.
All I can really think about it like this is if you were ever going to flop to the Lance side from where I am, he would have to start multiple games. It'd have to be probably a minimum of 4, probably more like 6 games. They would probably have to be undefeated, maybe 1 loss, maybe 2 losses if it was, like literally you could point the finger at somebody else besides Trey and say it definitely wasn't Trey's fault. But I just see that as not super likely based on what we've seen from him. And the reason I say he's probably not the best to be the number 2 is not about talent. It's because what you look for in a number 2 is not to be a project guy who could come in and you got to change the whole offense around to plug him in. It's a guy who can come in, run the same offense, and have similar like play style. That is Sam Darnold when it comes to Brock Purdy. They're similar. Sam Darnold might have better arm talent, and he has experience in the league. He could actually be the best. Sam Darnold could show out on the Niners. I think even higher likelihood than Trey Lance could.
Best case scenario for the Niners, Trey Lance starts the season, maybe plays 4 games, plays well, not like we're still like well enough that it's like we're still clear that it's Brock Purdy's job, but not poorly. And then he becomes a very valuable trade chip. That's like best case scenario for the Niners.
I wouldn't want him to trade him anyway. Like I said, I think you put him at 3rd on the depth chart probably if Sam Darnold does what I expect him to do. But you need that 3rd piece on the depth chart when you're the Niners, because if it comes down to it, if Brock Purdy were to fall by week 7, and then if Sam Darnold does what I think he does and he falls by the beginning of the playoffs, I mean, yeah, of course, at that point, I'm going to say, let's go Trey, whatever they decide to do. I'm
not saying they trade him this season. I'm saying he becomes a valuable trade piece if he starts 4 games, doesn't take very many snaps for the rest of the season. And it's like this guy was already, what was he, the 3rd overall draft pick or 4th overall draft pick? And he still hasn't even gotten a look, but every look he's gotten has been good. Then I think he becomes a very valuable draft piece that you could get like some really good, or not draft piece, trade piece that you could get some great draft capital for, or you could get like another piece to the juggernaut puzzle that is the Niners. So
you want a hot take here? One last hot take.
Okay.
Trey Lance becomes Taysom Hill.
Oh yeah, that could make sense. Yeah,
the signing of Darnold,
kind of a wildcat quarterback,
is the only thing that could make that possible. You have to have security at the position to even play any games like that, especially when you're the Niners. But I think why not? I mean, if Lance gets hurt playing another position, you can still sign other quarterbacks to add to the back of the depth chart if they look at it the way I do. But if they really look at him as the number 2, then I wouldn't do that. So that's my take.
Yeah, kind of a wildcat and potentially even a receiver on some downs type of thing. I could see that.
I'll go in this division. I'm going to go Niners, Seahawks.
Wow.
And then doesn't matter between Cardinals and Rams. I think they're both. I differ from you on.
I'm going to go Niners, Rams, Seahawks, Cards.
Wow, you're real high on the Rams. Okay, all right. I'm not, but we'll see what happens. It's early.
I'm not like high on them. I'm just trying to be a little bit.
I mean, hey, I
think they're high potential. I think they're not as bad as they played last year for sure.
They're supposed to be back. Stafford's supposed to be healthier. We will see. I don't know, man.
Cooper Kupp's incredible. Cooper Kupp's an incredible player. Like Sean McVay is a good coach. Like
Aaron Donald, of course.
It's not that inconceivable that they should be pretty good, right?
They could be great. They could even be great, but I think the Niners take it hands down. So.
Yeah.
All right, John. Best offseason overall. Who do you have?
Best offseason overall, Jets, hands down.
Ooh, I like that pick.
Wait. No. Jets or Ravens? Ravens had a great offseason as well. I think re-signing. Well, I think people are on the fence about it, but every Ravens fan I hear is very happy about the re-signing of Lamar Jackson. So I'll trust him. And I think putting receivers around him, also a really great move. So who do you think?
Yeah, I'll go with the Broncos. I'm a glutton for punishment. I'll go back on the Broncos train. We were high on the Russ going to Denver thing last year. That didn't work out. But this year, they did things to shore up the defensive and offensive lines with Frank Clark and Mike McGlinchey. Those will be 2 quality starters, if not like potential stars on that team. And the biggest move of all, Sean Payton is their new head coach. One of the top.
Yeah, that's a good offseason. That's a good offseason. That move specifically, I was thinking more player focused.
Yeah.
But yeah. Booms and Breaks. Thank you for the love. Love these podcasts. We are doing DAP Sports gift cards giveaways. So every 25 likes on the video. Casey, side note, I did not know this. What do we do if we don't hit 25?
We still do a giveaway. We just do it for 10 usually.
Yep. So we are doing a DAPS gift card giveaway at the end of the show. So make sure to get the likes up on the video. And we'll do that. Are we just going to do it here? We're going to go to our private.
We'll head over to PlayBack. So there's a link in the description. You can jump over, meet us on PlayBack. We'll start heading over there now. I got a couple more questions for us, John. So you can start heading over there, logging in, creating an account if you don't already have an account on PlayBack. That's where we'll do our prize drawings, our prize giveaways.
The show is on over there, so you can watch over there as well.
Yep, you can watch this stream over on PlayBack as well. So, John,
so last Breaks also said, I want to represent the chat here. He also says Geno Smith is underrated. I think Geno Smith is rated. Like, I don't know if that I'd call him overrated, because I'm like, he definitely deserves all the praise that he got from last season. I don't know that I can call him underrated yet, but he's rated. Jury's out.
The range of opinions is too vast to like nail him down. What people even think about him. Some people say he's underrated because they like him a lot, and some people say he's overrated because they don't like him much. But like, there's no like, you can't take down his identity.
Yeah,
I think I agree with your take. I think he was underrated last season for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And his stock has risen up to like the appropriate spot, and I think there's a chance that there's some regression there. But I think he more than likely just kind of remains pretty efficient. Maybe not the most efficient in the league at passing, but pretty efficient, and they're a pretty good team.
Yeah,
like last year.
Yeah, we shall see. All right, Casey,
all right, John. Yeah, last two questions here, and we can hit them at the same time if you want, or you can separate it. Your pick, dealer's choice here, or you can kick it back to me if you need some time to think about it. But I want one favorite from you this year, one team favorite, like one team that's supposed to be good that you do think will be especially good, and one dark horse team that's not supposed to be phenomenal, but you think might outperform expectations.
Team that is supposed to be good and I think will be good. Side note, before we even get into that, we had a poll of who will win the NFC West. You have a guess at?
I think it's either the Niners or people trolled me, and it's the Seahawks.
They trolled you, and it is the Seahawks. 47%, 28% Niners, and then the rest are other people.
I know our
Cardinals. If it makes you feel better, the Cardinals are 0%.
I mean, yeah, not surprising.
Makes you feel a little better. A team that's supposed to be good and will be good is the Ravens. I think Lamar Jackson is incredibly interesting because I cannot think of an archetype of a single quarterback who has had like really great success, who is like primarily a runner, other than like, if you squint, Michael Vick. I think he made one Super Bowl, right? But like usually they wash, right? Usually you get Vince Young or Cam Newton situations where it's like really good for a short period of time. They wash. Lamar Jackson has stood up better than those guys already, I think. I don't think he'll be a great thrower, but I think he'll be a good enough thrower that his run game will now become, it'll bring another dimension to his run game. So it's like they already have these called run plays where it's like a QB run option. And now I think he'll actually kind of be able to run out of a drop back as well, run out of a scramble, and that'll bring a whole other dimension. They're always going to have somebody spying him, if not more than one person spying him. They're always going to have to be containing, even when they're trying to rush and put pressure. It's hard to put pressure on him because he's hard to tackle. So yeah, I think adding weapons is huge for Lamar. And if nothing else, I like OBJ because it's like, throw it up downfield and see if that guy can go get it, right? That he's always a threat that way. So yeah, Ravens, they are supposed to be good. They will be good. Will it be enough to beat the Eagles? I don't know, but I think they'll be good.
Yeah, I like your pick.
The Bengals, right? Bengals.
Yeah, Bengals. I like your pick, and I do agree they'll be good. And my pick is in that same division. It is actually the Bengals. I think they're supposed to be good, and I'll say they'll be even better than the Ravens. I guess you were on that train too earlier.
Yeah, I kind of, if I got to bet, I'm going to say Bengals, but
yeah, lots of stuff going on for them. They still, of course, have Joe Burrow, probably a top 5 talent in the NFL at this point in his career, and still trending upwards. So the sky's the limit for him. The receiving core is as good as it gets. They still have a lot of the key pieces that they need. Their main weakness over the last couple of years has been their offensive line, but they went out, signed a big offensive tackle in Orlando Brown Jr., that is. And I think that's going to be he's going to be able to at least protect Joe Burrow on one side, so Burrow can roll out to a direction or know that he's got his blind side covered a little bit better. That's going to do a lot for Burrow's just like general health and well-being and his mindset. And he's going to look even better this year than he has. I'm calling for another career year from Burrow. They're going to win this division. They're supposed to be good. They will be good. That's my answer there. And I'll let you have a moment more to think about which team you think isn't supposed to be good.
I got my dark horse, but you go ahead.
Oh, you do? Oh, go ahead. Go ahead then. You take the dark horse. First.
So I think mine's kind of like a logical dark horse. It's kind of a boring pick. It's the Panthers. Strength of division is bad, right? So like you look at the Vikings last year, what it was like 10-3 or what? No, it wasn't 10-3, but it was like, what they lose, like 4 or 5 games, not that many games, right? A lot of it was just strength of schedule wasn't great. I mean, they beat the Bills, but other than that, strength of schedule wasn't that great. I think that we see something similar with the Panthers. Their division is going to be poor. So right there, you've got like potentially 6 wins right there in the division. If they can, scrounge up another 3-4 wins, then we're talking about a close to a 10-win team. And potentially playoff team. So yeah, I think the Panthers, and then you have this number 1 overall pick, right? So yeah, there's a world where, I think it's like kind of a logical, kind of a not that hot take to say like Panthers are the most likely dark horse,
That's
also,
right. Down
I guess the question is, what are the Jets? Do people are they expected to be good, or are they?
They are. Yeah, they are.
All right.
They would not qualify as a dark horse anymore once they landed Aaron Rodgers. I like your pick again, John. It seems like I'm following you around the league because I'm coming out of this division too. Different answer though. The team I actually
Falcons
completely guessed to win this division for a lot of the same reasons as you, the Falcons. Just to recap, because I only talked about the acquisitions as we went through them. So I'll touch a little bit more on the rest of the team here. People forget Kyle Pitts. He was highly regarded as the best tight end prospect since Gronk, since Kelsey. And he should be. It takes tight ends longer than other positions to develop in the NFL. There's a lot going on at the tight end position, and we kind of disrespect it as like, especially like casual fans. I think they're just like bigger, slower guys, and they kind of just sit in the middle of the field or maybe just like push another guy around a little bit.
It's because there's not very many of them that are truly elite.
It's incredibly technical. It might be the most technical position on offense because you have to know how to be a part of the line. You have to be a part of the receiving core. You have to be a part of the run game. You got to do everything. And the footwork for such a big guy is tough. And the ones who can do it really well can be truly game breaking. And on top of all of that, Kyle Pitts is essentially, he's just an all-star receiver. Like he really is just a receiver. So best hands at tight end position, arguably. I think he's going to have a monumental breakout with Ritter behind the quarterback or behind center now. Just a little bit of new blood into that offense. I think Ritter is an underrated quarterback. Nobody's given him a chance. We haven't seen much from him yet. And, we forget about Drake London too. Drake London is another one of those guys drafted in the first round in the last couple of years. Hasn't had an opportunity to really break out yet because they don't pass the ball enough. And they've never had a good enough quarterback because they had freaking Marcus Mariota last year. So they've got those guys. Plus the guy.
Marcus Mariota is elite, bro.
Right.
He's fire. He's elite.
Plus, they have this year's Breece Hall and Bijan Robinson, the best running back from the draft, number 8 overall draft pick from Texas. Mm-hmm. He is going to immediately be a top 5 RB when it comes to the stat sheet because you know what they're going to do is they're going to give him the freaking rock, man. He's going to get the ball about 30 times a game. Probably catch the ball in the backfield too. Look out for the Falcons. I'm not going to say I did pick them to win the division. That was kind of just a toss-up. But I will say more with confidence, they'll finish in the top half of this division, which I think is like a dark horse prediction in and of itself.
Bijan Mustard Robinson. Get it? It's Bijan.
Okay. I'm with you. I love it. Keep them going. I love it.
Catherine, Gino, first year as QB. Yeah, last year was his first year as QB. Drew, want to see more of what he can do, what more of Drew Lock can do. Yeah, I think you're right to say that the jury's out on Gino. Like, I think that's a better take than everyone who's like very extreme on him either way. Washington going to win the wild card. I don't think either Casey or I think that Washington's going to win the wild card. We both have them at 4th in their division.
Yeah.
So, I
don't mind Howell though. I think Howell's their quarterback. I think he's going to be the starter. They seem like a lost franchise is the biggest problem. So
it's like until they show me otherwise. Basically, all the Washington franchises I think that about. It doesn't matter. It's the same in the NBA. It doesn't matter how many good players the Wizards get. I'm like, but they're the Wizards. They're going to figure out a way to finish 11th in the East. I think that's it, man.
John,
every offseason move
This was a long one. It was a thick one. It was a hard one to do. But it felt good. It felt good to finally, get back into it. Yeah, to get it in. And I mean, I think we needed an episode like this just to get this stuff out of the way so we can just start talking about
we needed to get this long, thick, hard one in to get us stretched out. And
right. We had a lot of buildup. We had a lot of backed up.
Right.
We just had to release the pressure here with all this news just built up in us. So freaking tough. All right. I think you guys get what's going on here. Yeah. Let's go ahead and move on over to Playback. YouTube, we're going to move the party on over to the link in the video description. Join us over on Playback. Audio listeners, this is probably where it's going to cut off for you guys as well. So thank you for listening to us on your favorite audio podcast platforms. Make sure to rate and review us there. We really appreciate it. 5 stars if you would. And tell everybody what you enjoyed about this episode, what you like about our podcast. We'd love to hear it. And so would everybody else who comes across our page on those apps. So for you guys, YouTube, and those audio listeners, we will catch you next time. For everybody else who is here live, hopefully you've moved on over to Playback so that you can enter into our live giveaway happening in just a few moments. For myself and for John, we've been Triple Cross, and we will see you next time. Let's go. Okay, so that's our cut for audio. And we'll, I guess we don't really need to keep it open here unless somebody is having a hard time.
Yeah.
If you're having a hard time getting over to Playback, then chat us in YouTube and maybe we'll be able to help you out if it's something easy to fix. Hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully you made it over easy because we're about to give away something on Playback. I'm going to mute over here, John. I think we should probably go turn on our sound on Playback instead. But if you're in the YouTube chat and you need help, let us know.